John Brown come for you. Tell me what you wanna do.
Welcome, Santa Clarita Valley. We're back on your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220, with your Neighborhood Watch. I have two guests with me in the studio today with your news director, Perry Smith, Deputy Josh Dubin of the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station's Crime Prevention Unit, the man with the longest title in the Santa Clarita Valley, without question.
That was a lot of title. Very. Did you call me very special
I go
guest?
through exercises just to get it through, yeah. No, the special guest is Jeff Chavez. Come on, you're pretty much a regular guest right
Thank
now.
you. I feel so special.
We have Mr. Chavez of All American Bail Bonds.
Yes, sir.
Where are you guys headquartered?
We have multiple offices. Our main office is now here in Santa Clarita Valley.
Now, All American Bail Bonds, I was looking them up online. Yeah, like you said, there's locations in L.A. It's all one entity? You guys just have different offices, branches?
Yeah, basically they're little branch offices. Agents run those offices for us. My wife and I own the company, so we do everything out of Santa Clarita Valley.
And it's interesting. It's a little bit different. Usually we'll have a guest from law enforcement, and here now we have American Bail Bonds in the studio. And so I want to ask you a little bit about that. We're here. We talk about the outreach that the Sheriff Station does. We talk about law enforcement in our communities, events, crime trends, things that people should be aware of. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you got into the bail bond business and how that started about.
Well, you know what? I've been doing this for about 10 years now. My wife's been doing it a couple years longer, my fiance at the time, and she actually got me into the business. I was a little adamant, I wasn't really into it, but over time I saw the importance and the value of what we were doing, and I decided to stick with it, and 10 years later, here we are.
So how does one get into that type of business?
What I get asked that a lot. Basically, this is the kind of business you have to know someone to really get into. Okay, because you have to be part of the organization, a bail bonding company, to really know how to get into it. I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to know someone to get into the business. And there's a lot of people out there who want to become bail bondsmen or bounty hunters and so forth, and it's not that easy. It's just you have to know the right people.
You can't just say, "Hey, I've got some money. I'll help you get out of jail." There's a licensing.
Yeah, we are state licensed. We're licensed through the California Department of Insurance. I'm no more than an insurance agent.
Oh, okay.
We're the black sheep of the insurance family. That's what they call us.
But still part of the family.
But we're still part of the family.
So you evaluate risk and that type of thing, just like an insurance agent would, essentially.
Pretty much. Unlike your average insurance agent who may have multiple resources based on accidents and so forth and liability, we have to do it more on a personal level. So every call we get, it's the negotiator's responsibility to look at that person and how risky is that particular bond, the charges, the criminal history of the individual, does the person have a job, the roots in the community, are they a threat to the community if we get them bonded out? Are they going to need ankle monitoring or personal monitoring? So we have to look at the big picture and decide if that's something we want to do.
Is that something you guys can put an ankle monitor on somebody if you're bailing them out just because you have that money on the line, right?
Absolutely. Basically, a bail bondsman is looked at as a jailer, is the person's jailer while they're out on bond. Okay. So we have to protect the community and, of course, protect that bond and the liability and so forth.
Right. Okay. Well, it's odd to call it an investment, but essentially you're taking that risk however you want to take that terms. Interesting. And so you guys have been doing it for 10 years?
A little over 10 years.
And you were telling me just a minute ago you have offices all over, right?
Yes, sir.
Where do you have locations? You're headquartered here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Our main office, our head office, if you will, is in Santa Clarita, over across from the Mercedes-Benz dealer, actually.
Okay.
But we have
is that
offices.
On Creekside, or?
I'm sorry?
Is that on Creekside?
Yeah, Creekside and Valencia.
Cinema.
Cinema. And Valencia, correct?
Okay, not too far from the station.
Yeah, I don't even know the streets. I don't get out there very often. I'm usually in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
We have Palmdale, Santa Clarita, Lakewood, Long Beach, Orange County, North Hollywood. So, we're out there.
All right. Dubes, feel free to jump in with the questions.
Now I'm Dubes.
Dubes.
Well, you know what? This is interesting because when we started this show was a partnership between local law enforcement station and the local media. And some of the guests that we've had on Commander Mike Parker, we've had on Captain Johnson, and normally we talk about law enforcement stuff. So this is definitely a great topic to talk about in relation to law enforcement, because this is something that we as deputy sheriffs deal with on a daily basis. When we make an arrest, we take many of our arrestees to the local station, to Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. We have an in-house jail facility at our station, and the inmate or the pre-arraigned inmate has the option to call a bail bondsman and to bail out of jail pending further court hearings. So I think that I have some questions. I think you have some questions.
I do.
And I think that a commercial is coming soon.
It is coming soon. We have time for another quick question, right? Perfect hair? All right. That's our audio engineer, Mark Urbina, giving me the signal. We got a minute. Okay. Go ahead.
You want to fire first? Or do you want me
Somebody
to fire
shoot.
first, Barry?
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, let's walk through the process. So I'm a deputy sheriff, and I make an arrest. Say a common narcotics arrest. A common narcotics arrest. The bail schedule calls for a $10,000
Correct.
bail, and that's a felony arrest for heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, whatever it is. So I take that person that's suspected of the possession of the illegal narcotics, and I bring them to Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, and I complete the booking paperwork. They get their fingerprints and mugshot taken, and then they have access to the telephone, and they call you.
Yeah, they may call family, they may call us directly. Most of our calls do come from the family members looking to get their loved ones out of jail. And then, they'll arrange to come to our office, do some paperwork. If they qualify, then of course we'll post bond once the person has cleared the booking process.
Okay.
And that can normally take 4 to 6 hours. We have a pretty good relationship with the jailers there, so it's smooth.
Right.
When you say qualify, what are you looking at there?
Well, for a $10,000 drug possession charge,
I'm sorry, Jeff. I apologize. We have to take
knew
a
that
quick
commercial break was coming
You
in
knew
there.
it. You called it, and I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220. We've got Jeff Chavez of American Bail Bonds and Deputy Josh Dubin in the studio, and we're going to get some more questions going. Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220, with Deputy Josh Dubin and special guest Jeff Chavez of All American Bail Bonds, excuse me. And he was just telling us about the process. Dubin, you bring in a suspect.
Oh, now I'm Dubin. I was Dubes a minute ago.
Deputy Josh Dubin, to be exact. Let's say he brings in a suspect on a narcotics arrest. Suspect calls a family member. Family member calls Jeff, or All American Bail Bonds.
All American Bail Bonds, yeah. And we get the call, and we have them come to the office. And as far as qualifications, $10,000 isn't considered a large dollar amount by our standards. It is a felony, the possession charge. We have to look at the person's criminal history. Okay, do they have one? Does the inmate have roots in the community? Okay, do they have a job? Okay, because quite frankly, a number of our skips, people that actually bond jump, the drug possession.
They say they're going to show up in court, they don't, and then you're on the hook.
And then we have to go out there and look for them, and there's more cost involved and so forth. But for the most part, if they have the simple qualifications of a job and roots in the community, we'll bond them out. If they don't have the money, don't worry about it. As long as you have a job, we'll work with you. We're not all about the money. Our company policy is, if you're in our community, we're in the same community, we want to work with you, we want to help you out. If you burn that bridge, you burnt it, you're not going to be able to use it again. And believe it or not, we have a lot of repeat clientele.
Oh, okay. Just because once you know that somebody's going to show up, when they say they're going to show up, you're a little more likely to...
It's all about trust. It's all about trust. Okay, once you break that trust with a bondsman, it's very hard to get back.
I was just going to say, and then you guys, I would imagine, have some sort of if somebody skipped on somebody else, or do you have some way to network, or do you guys talk at all?
A lot of the companies, we know there's sureties, basically, insurance carriers that actually fund the money for the bail bonds.
Oh, okay.
Within those companies, we know the bail bondsmen and the agencies, and we speak. We don't usually get into the ins and outs of daily business of bond jump or skips and people who don't pay their bills and so forth. So no, there's not really that network. It's just more of something we have to look into and see.
So you look it up on your own and see if this guy's done it before.
We run credit, we run criminal history. We look at things that you'd be surprised what we can actually see in a person's past.
Really?
So when we do that, we can tell pretty much if this person's going to be on the up and up.
Okay. Dubes, you got a question?
When somebody bonds out, or when their family member comes, a common thing that I hear from people that I arrest or that other deputies arrest is, I need to come up with 10%. I need to come up with 10%. Can you explain a little bit about the process on I guess how you make your money and how you could possibly be on the hook for the entire bail amount? Yeah,
let me start off by saying Los Angeles County has one of the highest bail schedules in the state. Okay, drug possession in some counties can be as little as $1,000. Here in Los Angeles County, it's $10,000. And yes, the law states we're bound by certain percentages. Now, there's a little bit of wiggle room, depending if you qualify, meaning you have an attorney or a union member or so forth, you may qualify for an 8% bond. It's a rebate, not a discount, a rebate. Now, as far as the premium goes, the 8 or 10%, a lot of people don't have disposable income, rather, so they have to rely upon financing. Now, we're not a finance company, so what we do is interest-free financing. Basically, we're going to trust you to pay your bill based on your credit and based on your job history. If your credit's poor, well, do you have a job? If you don't have a job and you don't have good credit, we know that debt is not going to be paid. And the misconception is that we take that 10%. That's our money. It's not. A portion goes to the state. A portion goes to our surety. A portion is ours. And of course, there's the cost of doing business. So,
Of course.
$1,000, like that seems like a lot of money, but in actuality, it's a very small amount we get.
Right.
Oh, okay. And so does the state set those percentages that you get
Yes.
as far as? Oh, okay.
Yeah, as far as what we are allowed to charge for the premium, the state regulates that. We can negotiate how much we'll pay our surety. The longer you're in the business, the more reliable and responsible you are as a bail bonding agency, then you'll get better rates with your insurance carrier. So it's something we have to, and in time it gets better.
So when you see a really high dollar bond, like say it's $1 million, say it's attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, are those? Is that a better? From the bail bondsman perspective, does that represent something that would be attractive to a bail bondsman as far as when you have a high dollar amount like that, or is that something where you also know that there's a greater risk? So again, you have to be careful when you take on those big high dollar bails.
There's a rule in this business amongst bail bondsmen or bail agents, as we're supposed to be called. You don't want to chase the premium. So when you see $1 million bail or a $500,000 bail, you're thinking, well, that's $40,000 to $50,000 or more, depending upon the dollar amount,
Right.
that you could make. But you have to look at the liability and risk involved. Attempted murder, that's the most serious. I mean,
Right.
There's something you want to really tread lightly on, because that person very well could be a flight risk. Are they going to go to court? That's the main issue, because if they don't go to court, that X dollars, $500,000, $1 million, whatever the case might be, is coming out of our pocket.
Right.
Now, the insurance carrier is going to guarantee it, but ultimately the bail bonding agency is responsible for that. So you really have to be cautious. And we've done $1 million bonds before. The attempted murder and so forth, you got to be really cautious with certain charges, because now they're a threat to the community. Are they going to reoffend? I mean, there's certain things you have to be aware of, and that's what it comes down to in the negotiating side of it.
Now, Jeff, when you take on that kind of risk, do you guys do a little investigation yourself? Do you talk to sources in the station and say, hey, is this guy a repeated, offender and that type of stuff? Or how do you take that evaluation?
We evaluate it based on our resources and to look into criminal history. We look at the person's, the charges we get, when we call the jail for the particular charges, we get a penal code. We don't get the description. We don't get the police report. No one's going to speak to us and give us an idea of what really happened or occurred. They're going to say, hey, this is the charge. This is the bail amount. Do you want to do it? Okay, and then we have to take it from there to see if it's worth doing, or is the risk too great to where we could lose everything.
Right.
So it's really upon us and our resources. We work with law enforcement, but it's a fine line. Okay, they can't cross it. It could turn into a criminal offense on their part. So we have to work as insurance agents, doing our job and our research on our own for the most part.
Okay. Dubes, any questions? Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. We got to take another quick commercial break. Just having fun and losing track of time here with Jeff and Josh. We'll be back on your hometown station, KHTS, AM 1220.